Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. This has already been a lot of fun for us. We've got something really great going on. We had over 4,000 views this week on Facebook. We have already been helping out about a veteran a day.
Yep.
Tobie said.
A veteran a day.
We've got a couple of quick shout outs for you guys for veterans that have already started getting the process going already because of the VA Home Show. So we've got some VA Home Show shout outs. One of them is to Paul Emsch up there in Northern California. He saw the VA Home Show, had some questions. He's connected with a real estate agent through a friend of his up there. Got his loan going. He's already looking at properties, got 4 that he's considering. And then a shout out to Jose Ramirez, Semper Fidelis to you, my brother, for looking back into buying, a past client of mine. So good on you, Paul, soldier, yes. Infantry soldier. Good on you, Jose Ramirez, and keep them coming. Let everybody know that we are here to help you guys out genuinely.
Yep.
If you have questions, and again, Paul had a couple of questions. I was happy to answer those for him so that he could kind of get started in the right direction. And some of those are going to be things that we're going to address here today.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So Amy's in the shot right now. Amy is an Air Force veteran. Say hello, Amy Serpa.
Hello, guys.
Okay, and then Navy veteran and lender with Cross Country Mortgage joins me to my left, your right, Tobie Love.
Yes. Hey, good morning, you guys.
And then I am David Serpa. I am a Marine Corps veteran, and my kid was the Student of the Month this month.
Yay.
Very excited about that. Had to get dressed up to show him, and then we've got some work today because of you guys. We've got work today. Things have been busy. So let's jump in, huh?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so VA Home Show shout outs again. Thank you, Jose Ramirez. Thank you, Paul. The show that we are doing today is the top 10 things to consider when using your VA home loan.
Yes.
This is important. These are like the top 10 questions. Maybe that would be another great one to do is top 10 questions that were asked about using the VA home loan.
Yep.
But this right here are top 10 things that you need to know that maybe you don't even know that you need to know yet.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing is what you don't know you need to know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you guys are interested in getting started here and you want to buy a house and you want to know whether or not you qualify, another big thing that we helped out with last week is Tobie Love helped the veteran look into their certificate of eligibility.
Yep.
She was having a little bit of trouble tracking that down. Tobie jumped on that. So if you need help with your certificate of eligibility, if you need help with some VA home loan questions, you guys can always call or text your fellow veteran, Navy vet. I know a lot of you have phone anxiety. That's why I'm saying you don't have to call her. You can text her. This is her personal cell phone number, 951-704-7421. We're here to educate you guys about your VA home loan. Okay, you guys ready?
Okay. Yes.
Let's jump in here.
All right, cool.
Okay, the first thing that you need to know about your VA home loan. Go ahead, Tobie Love.
So we're going to talk about the appraisal. So all VA home loans require an appraisal unless you're doing an EARL, which is a refinance and an interest rate reduction loan. And the appraisal is something that the lender does up front once you're in contract. And we actually cover that cost for you. So typically, VA appraisal can run anywhere between $450 and $550, dependent on who the appraiser is, what the property is like. So, and you would typically need that up front, but with us, you do not.
So this is one of the big things that people don't realize. A lot of times they'll cancel the escrow, they'll get their earnest money deposit back, and then they'll be like, well, what's missing out of my earnest money deposit? How come I didn't get all of that money back?
Yep.
And what's missing is the appraisal. Yep. And so one of the things that I really love that some veterans do out there that work with fellow veterans like Tobie Love is she pays for the appraisal up front. And what that does is it protects you so that we could get the process started so that we could perform on contingencies. And it also covers you in the event that you fall out of escrow, that you don't have to eat that fee. A lot of veterans are cash poor And, you know, a lot of people scoff at $400. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal to veterans. It is a big deal. Yeah. And so that is the big thing that I need you to know is that an appraisal is going to be about $400 or so. The appraisal gets ordered more or less immediately once you get started. One of the big things that lenders do that drive me nuts is they wait to order the appraisal to make sure that the inspection's gotten done properly. And then a lot of times that starts the whole thing back on a bad foot.
Yep.
Okay, so that is tip number 1 on the 10 things you need to know. What's next, Tobie Love?
So then we have earnest money deposit. So earnest money deposit is also known as good faith money. So it's typically money that you need to have upfront when you put in an offer, and that offer is accepted, so that the seller knows that you're serious. Now, typically that's about 1% of the purchase price. However, that is something that can be negotiated.
So let me say this. I have won multiple offers several times with veterans that have had a $500 earnest money deposit, a $1,000 earnest money deposit. It's not the size of the earnest money deposit. It's the way that you use it.
Yep.
And so I like to put together a cover letter for my clients. I like to represent them well, put our best foot forward. And the thing is like I said, when you're cash poor, who's got $4,000 to sit in an account somewhere without getting that money gifted?
Yep.
And so, no, it doesn't have to be 1% of the cost of the house. They just need to know that you want that house, and someone taking your earnest money deposit is next to impossible anyway.
Yep.
So I tell my veteran clients about $1,000 to $2,000 out of it, and just let them know. Goal is to cancel this escrow. Your goal is to get it closed.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I interject one little
Please
thing
do.
there? I just want to say that you were one of the first people that taught me that it didn't have to be 1%, and
Thank
that
you.
proved that it could be done. So
I appreciate that. So
So-
that's something that I love to shatter VA loan myths. I like to really properly represent my clients, because I know what that's like to buy. And I know that some of the hurdles that stand in our way are things like a 1% earnest money deposit or more. And so the way to beat that 1% earnest money deposit is to represent properly the fact that you serve this nation and who you are and why you love the house. And if you and your agent can do that properly, they will want you to buy the house more than somebody who has a deposit, which they're not going to touch anyway.
Yep.
In the event that it doesn't happen. Okay.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that, Tobie Love. I
Yes.
appreciate the
Yeah,
shout
I
out.
just thought
What
of that.
next? What's next here?
Home inspection.
And that's, so earnest money deposit was actually number 2.
Mhm.
Home inspection is number 3.
Mhm.
Okay.
So home inspection. So you are not required to get a home inspection by any means, but is it recommended? 100% for
Absolutely.
sure. Absolutely. This is something that would come out of pocket, and it is dependent upon usually the size of the home.
Yeah, the
Right.
size of the home, whether or not there is a pool,
Mhm.
if you want any. So normally a good home inspector will come out, take a look at everything in the house.
Yep.
They'll crawl around in the crawl space so you don't have to, or in the attic so that you don't have to.
Mhm.
They'll go in the backyard. Most of them will not check the sprinklers other than to turn them on and turn them off.
Yep.
To get a pool and to get the inspection for that, it's normally a little bit more, another $150 to $200.
Mhm.
An inspection is about $300.
Yep.
And we have a fantastic home inspector who is also a Marine Corps veteran, and her name is Kelly Guerrera. And shout out to her at Eagle Eye Home Inspections, if you guys want a home inspection done here in the Inland Empire. So a lot of people say, you know what? I don't want to spend the money. $300 is too much money. It is the most valuable thing that you can do, because the worst thing that you can do is move into a house that has a massive problem that you don't know about. At least get the peace of mind.
And here's one thing I hear sometimes too. Well, the appraiser will cover it. The appraiser will catch it.
Negative.
The appraiser is not looking for those specific things that could cost you money down the line. They are purely looking at the value of the home and making
Correct.
sure that it can appraise. So I hear that so many times it kind of blows my mind. Home inspection not required, but highly recommended.
Yep. And then, so this is kind of a multi-part one, in that it's very important to look at tax rates in HOAs and what kind of a neighborhood that you are looking into buying in. When I bought my first house, I didn't even know what an HOA was. And I want you guys to understand the difference, how much that can stack up financially. Now, there's some great neighborhoods. There are great neighborhoods in Temecula. There are great neighborhoods in Winchester and in Murrieta and Menifee, but they can be like a checkerboard.
Yeah.
Some of these can be at a 2.2, 2.3% tax rate, right next to a neighborhood that's at 1.3%.
Yep.
And so what's important to do is to stack these up apples and oranges in how this breaks down financially. And so I've got a nice little thing that if you want to buy in my neighborhood, I live in Monet in French Valley in Winchester. Rembrandt is right next door. And these are 1.3% tax neighborhood areas. French Valley 1 through 4. Now, at a $400,000 house, a 1.3% tax rate, and I won't go through all of the math for you, but it's $5,200 annually. A 2.2% tax rate, like you'll find in Spencer's Crossing, not even including the additional HOA, at $400,000 is $8,800 annually, which is the difference of $3,600 annually, which is $300 a month. Now, if you add that on an HOA on top of that, $80 to $100, you're looking at $400 a month in payments just by avoiding high tax rates, high HOAs, if that's not something that you want to assume in your monthly mortgage payment.
And I'd like to add 2 things to that. So
yes, please.
That $400 is worth about, it's about $20,000 per $100 in purchasing power. So let's do the math. So $400 in payment is worth about $80,000 in purchasing power.
So when I was buying my house, I looked at in a low tax rate neighborhood. I already knew what neighborhood I wanted to buy in. I was waiting for a house to pop up. I had daily searches going in that area. I was not a real estate agent. I was an active duty Marine, and I found the house. I put in an offer that day with my agent. Shout out Tammy Runyon. And yeah, Tammy was my agent.
Wow. Okay, cool.
And Tammy put in the offer for me. We got the house, we locked it up, and I had so much more buying power in that neighborhood. I could have bought at a way higher price, but I kept it low. And I kept it in a low tax rate, and I really set myself up for success.
Love it. The other thing also is when you have the higher tax rates, you are going to have more closing costs. You know, taking just that specific difference that you showed there between the $5,000 and the $8,000. So that monthly, that's $300 more per month. Now let's time that. Let's say that you're closing in a month where we need 6 months of tax impounds. You're looking at almost $2,000 more in closing costs than you would in a lower tax area. So I think that's also something very important to consider.
Really adds up. And I don't want our clients to ever be cash poor. The biggest and most terrifying thing that that I could ever experience is driving by a foreclosure sign in front of one of my clients' houses. It would break my heart. So Amy said, hey, thanks for tuning in. Lean forward, Amy. Get involved. Amy's been sharing the show out to everybody.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make sure we're all getting hooked up here.
Amy's been doing the grounding and pounding for us. She said, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Happy Friday. If you're just tuning in, we're doing the top 10 tips. The first one was appraisal. The second one was your earnest money deposit. Number 3 is your home inspection. Number 4 is the tax rates in your HOA, finding the right neighborhood. And we're just getting ready to jump into number 5. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have questions, feel free to comment on the show so that we see them. A lot of people start watch parties or share this out to different groups, and we might not see your questions. So feel free to comment on the VA Home Show, and we will get your questions answered, reinstate that, or help you out with that certificate of eligibility or whatever else that you need. We're here to hook you guys up. Okay, so the top 10 things you need to know. The next one is closing cost, funding fees, escrow and title, and all of that comes into what we like to call your recurring and non-recurring costs.
Absolutely. So funding fees, a big piece of it. I just got a call yesterday, matter of fact, from someone that didn't realize that they had a funding fee. So if you are not exempt from the funding fee, you will have a funding fee with the VA. Now, is that an out-of-pocket cost? No, it's not, but it is financed into the loan. And depending on whether you're a first-time user, a subsequent user, you have a little bit of money down, anything like that, it is different, but it is financed into the closing cost, or financed into the loan amount, I apologize. And the call was about the veteran didn't understand that there was this funding fee. And so then they started to mistrust the lender because they didn't talk to them.
So understand that when you're buying a house, there is a certain amount of closing costs associated with the VA loan. You're going to need to get that covered in one way or another, unless you have the money to come up with out of pocket. Now, don't tune out. Don't think that you're excluded from this. 99%, because it's just about 100% of the veterans that I help buy homes normally have less than $1,500 in their pocket, and so it is substantial. And so what you do is, depending on how long that house has been on the market, you either ask your the seller to contribute towards your recurring and non-recurring costs, which if you're buying it $400,000, you want about $8,000 towards those fees, or if it's been sitting for a while, or if it's a hot property and it's competitive, you might need a lender to roll some of that into the rate. Now, rates are very low right now. So if you have your rate go up a little bit, and then you don't have to take that money out of pocket, and then you ask the seller to contribute some of it towards your closing costs, most of the time, and I'm like, again, 99% of the time, you're not taking any money out of pocket to make this loan happen, including your closing cost, whether you're using it for a first time or a second time, and that goes up a little bit, or, and again, look into your individual state rights, and that's what we're going to talk about here shortly, because that changes. Just make sure that you write it into the contract, who is covering your recurring and non-recurring fees, so that you don't end up cash broke at the end of this because your real agent know how to write a contract.
And with that, it's really basically financing the closing cost. You're either financing it in the rate, you're financing it in the price, and every $1,000 is right. I just said a few minutes ago, every $20,000 is about $100. Every $1,000 is really about $5. So you have $10,000 in closing cost, $50 per month roughly is what you can estimate that you're going to pay, which is a lot easier than coming up with $1,000.
And I know that we're talking a lot of numbers. I know some people's eyes are going to gloss over here a little. It's okay. Just skip this portion and then go to the next one. if your eyes are glossing over, or call Tobie. She'll walk it through you gently. So here we go. Next one. Things that you need to know. Where can you use your VA home loan? Now, this is a question that we've already got on the VA Home Show. We've got a couple of expats calling us that are living in other countries that want to use their VA loan. So, Tobie Love, can you use your VA loan to buy a house on foreign soil?
You can not.
You cannot.
You cannot.
So if you want to buy a house in the Philippines, or if you want to buy a house in Switzerland and Japan or whatever, Amy had brought up an interesting point. Some people have family in different countries. You can't use the VA loan for that. You're going to need to use something else. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you can't get out of the suburbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
2021.
So was that number 6? Was that number 7?
So that was actually number 7. But we can
Man, I'm such a stinker. So let's do this here really quick, so that there's a lot going on live. So that was number 7. Okay. Now number 8. So one of the reasons that we had somebody who was not using their VA loan almost broke my heart. We'll talk about this, Tobie Love.
So they were having. Are you talking about the one that had a hard time getting the certificate of eligibility? Yep. So we had a person that just could not get it pulled. I'm not 100% sure who they were working with as the lender. They didn't know how to do it. Called in from the show last week, and there was a couple of steps that we had to go through, some additional documents that we had to get from the client, but we were ultimately able to get that certificate of eligibility for them, and they were just wonderfully grateful. But so they were being pushed to not use their VA loan because the person that was trying to get their certificate of eligibility could not make it happen. So, hey, here's the thing, guys.
Anytime that a realtor ever encourages you not to use your VA home loan, text me their address. God, that stuff drives me freaking nuts.
I know.
If you are a veteran, you should be using your VA loan. If you are active duty, you should be using your VA loan. If you are working with a real estate agent or a lender that is telling you otherwise, give me a call. Just let me freaking sound it out with you. Or just shoot me their address and I'll come find them.
And hey guys, so here's the deal. There is absolutely 100% no reason why, if you are eligible for a VA loan right now, that you shouldn't be using it. There's no loan limits. No, I will tell you, back in the day, there was a point in time when I didn't use my VA loan.
Sure.
But it's because I was over the income limits. It didn't quite make sense. So, but now there is absolutely no reason that you shouldn't be using your VA loan unless as long as you're eligible for it.
So if you are wondering whether or not you're eligible, hit us up. Let us know. Don't let something dumb hold you back because you didn't know while you're throwing your money away on rent.
Yep.
This is about financial security. Really, honestly, it's about financial security because once you have a home, it's a lot harder to get kicked out of one. So let's just say that here for a moment. Now, so what I want to talk about next is states' rights. This is a big one, guys. If you want to tune into one of our other shows, maybe we could even do another show on this, like individual state rights. So if you're in California, you've got certain perks for being a veteran. If you're in Texas or North Carolina or Montana, you've got a few more. And so what I want you to understand is find out what your individual state rights are, some individual state programs that might apply to you, and what you can use in addition to the VA home loan, and how that VA home loan can be used in your state. Can you give us an example, Tobie?
Sure. So right here in California, if you are 100% disabled, you get a break on your base tax rate. So there's a certain percentage, and there's a calculation. And I'm definitely not going to get in that because that's super complicated. But call me. I've got the worksheet. I can do it for you.
So they understood that if you're 100% disabled, there's a lot of money going to you anyway that you're collecting, that they don't need to take the money back then as the state to recirculate that.
Exactly.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And now that does not apply to supplemental taxes, but it does apply to the base.
Now, supplemental taxes are anything that is up and above your base tax rate.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And most in our area, the base, not getting into the supplementals, is like 1.13, 1.17, something like that.
Yep. Okay. And then so anyway, so that's know what you can do in your individual state. Know how that is going to change and affect you. There's lots of really great things that are going on with the VA loan right now, and we're going to actually talk about that next. So, and we've talked about this a lot in other shows. So if you guys have never seen the show before, this is kind of one of those opportunities where I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch our other shows. There are 10 things that you need to know. We've gone over them today: appraisal, earnest money deposit, the home inspection, funding fees, closing costs. We talked about escrow and title fees, where you can use your VA home loan. You can't use it outside of the country. Your certificate of eligibility, and if you need that reinstated, we're happy to send that to you. If you don't know where that is the better way to say that. Individual state rights, disability ratings. 100% disabled in California, there's things that you need to know about your tax rates. Now, getting into VA exclusive perks. One of the biggest ones that we talk to people about is no minimum FICO score. A lot of people say, well, what is the minimum FICO score? My credit needs some help. So who establishes the FICO score for the VA? Well, it's not up to them to establish that. What happens is the individual lender decides whether or not you're going to qualify based on your credit, your debt to income, etc. And if you need help with that, there are people that you can call. One of those people is Tiffany with Dedicated Credit Repair, and she is the only eligible person out there that can help you in this area to get your credit set up. Okay, another one of those is
no PMI.
No PMI, principal mortgage insurance. That's one of the reasons why you hear people talking about putting 20% down. Not only do you not have to put 20% down, you have to put 0 down to avoid PMI when using your VA loan, because it is backed up by the government.
And I just want to add my little thing in there on that.
So
again, purchasing power, payment comfort level. So let's say $455,000, and I just know this right off the top of my head because I was just working a payment this morning. $311 on a $455,000 loan amount with 3.5% down is what the mortgage insurance was. With VA, you don't have that. So that gives you a comfort level threshold of $311 more. Purchasing power from that standpoint, $60,000. Big deal, you guys. No PMI.
For this gal that had got a hold of us about getting her certificate of eligibility, and Tobie helped her out with that, she was being talked into using a conventional loan, which was not only going to cost her more monthly, it was going to cost her more out of pocket. It was going to cost her more every month because there are certain perks that that just apply to us. don't apply to anyone else.
Yep.
So don't get talked out of using your VA loan. Another one of those is the VA loan limit.
Yep.
There is no VA loan limit established anymore by the federal government. You're going to be out there deciding what you do and do not qualify for,
Mm-hmm.
and it will still be a zero down. There's no more VA jumbo that you have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, if you want to use your VA loan, I want you to reach out to Tobie Love, Cross Country Mortgage, fellow veteran.
Yep.
Call or text her on her personal cell phone number to get your questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you guys enjoyed the show, I encourage you to subscribe on YouTube. We got a great show going on. And check out the open house show this weekend on Sunday. Check out the Wednesday Wake Up Live.
Yep.
And encourage your friends to check out the VA Home Show. This really is by veterans, for veterans. And feel free to text Tobie at 951-704-7421 if you have any questions. Again, shout out to Paul Emsch up there in Northern California for making it happen, getting out and look at some houses. Shout out to Jose Ramirez for getting his process started here in Southern California. And I can't remember the gal's name who needed the certificate of eligibility to get started in her process. And then we also have a fellow veteran who needs to talk about some stuff here right here in Temecula. So we're not going to plug all of their names because we didn't ask them, but everybody else we did. And so nothing but love out there to you fellow vets.
Yep.
Don't get bamboozled into using a conventional loan or an FHA loan. If somebody talks to you about that and tells you not to use your VA loan, feel free to text me their address so I could show up at their home for a good old-fashioned street fight. I'm David Serpa. I am your friendly local neighborhood machine gunner laying down cover fire so that you can move. This is Amy Serpa, Air Force veteran, Tobie Love, Navy veteran. I'm going to encourage you to watch the VA Home Show. We've got lots of great shows. Last week's show was watched over 4,000 times in a week. We've had a veteran a day calling Tobie, getting set up with what they need to do and what's next.
Yep.
And then when she figures out that they're ready to go, she sets us up. We have a consultation with them. Then we set them up with a great local agent.
Yep.
We get paid. The show goes on.
Yep.
She gets paid. The show goes on. You find an awesome house. You get represented well. That's how the cookie crumbles here on the VA Home Show.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys tuning in. Happy Friday.
See you next week.
And as Jerry Springer says, take care of yourselves and each other.
And we do just that. Here.
Damn Skippy.